What is up? Welcome into the Double FU, the FU times 2, the fantasy football universe. I am this guy. This is that guy. We are these guys here to tell you today about the guys who are going to have great playoff schedules ahead. We're also going to answer some questions in the chat, so feel free to throw them in there if you have them. Lots of stuff going on. Christmas happening. Birthdays, we got Thanksgiving, and we got things going on, things to do, but we are here for you to help you get into the playoffs. Jesse, what's going on?
Oh, just getting those ho holiday shopping done, getting us ready. And, hopefully we can provide some, not give you some cold this year. We can give you some nice Christmas presents, what we're talking about. So, yeah, theming all that fun stuff. So, yeah, we're getting it ready. The house is all situated, got the decorations done. So, we're done there. So, then we get to all the other fun stuff. So, yeah, but I'm here to enjoy this Saturday with Jerry like we normally do. Talk all the fancy football stuff. So, that's what we're here for, folks.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you and appreciate the fact that, listen, it's been a rough go the last couple of fantasy years for me in terms of getting the final coin, but it feels good this year. It feels different. But going, 2 years ago, I think I went to 15 out of 16 playoffs, Ooh. 9 championships, 2 winning teams. So it's rough. It's rough. Yeah. So until I get more wins, I'll be known as this guy and that guy. Jamie, what is up to you, sir? Welcome in. Let's just start talking a little bit about this playoff schedule because we have a bunch of guys here who have really good ones. We're going to start at the quarterback position. We're going to show you a little something. If I can see what the heck is going on with our new setup here. I think I got it. Oh, there it is.
That's something.
Right. And let's talk about quarterbacks here because we got a few to highlight. Pay no attention to the highlighted names here. Oh, I can't remove them though. What do we do? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But we need to start with our discussion about Jackson Dart. You see him here at the bottom of the screen. He is number 9. But don't worry about that number. We're talking playoff schedules. He just faced New England, which was a good matchup. He's got to bye this week to recover, to learn, to grow. And then Washington, Minnesota, Vegas to end his fantasy season. Too bad Dallas doesn't come in the fantasy season. Jackson Dart, I think, is going to be one of the best quarterbacks that you can play down the stretch here. And it's simply because he's going to run for at least 1 touchdown every single game. I know he curbed that last week, but I just don't think that he can afford to continue to play that way. And it's a great schedule down the stretch. I think if you have Jackson Dart, you're very happy with what he puts up for you in the playoffs. What do you think about Dart?
Yeah, even I know the last week was disappointing against New England. New England's just good, and that's the problem going against them. But still, he gave you a floor performance, which was 14 fantasy points. Like he's not going to give you below single. He's not going to be in the single digit range, right? So the floor is worst case about what he just did because didn't give you much in the air, didn't give you much on the ground. Just kind of unfortunate performance. Moving forward, like you're saying, and the schedule is super juicy after the bye. It's like Washington, Minnesota, Vegas. And even if you're playing in week 18, say you get the magical Dallas matchup, even though that team is better than it has been recently. But still, these next 3 games are fantastic. So I'm all above the Darty train. Let's fire it up. He might be the guy guiding you to fantasy football championships because a certain mobile quarterback in Baltimore is not doing that, and he has a great matchup as well. So we can talk about that a little bit. But yeah, I'm just excited to see him go down the playoffs. And if you have him, you got to start him. You got to fire him up.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous with the Lamar stuff. If you went out and bought Lamar a couple of weeks ago on the advice of every fantasy analyst on earth, it's hurting you right now. So hopefully you're not in that boat. But I get it if you are. Maybe especially 1 QB, Jackson Dart's probably not available. But maybe if your trade deadline isn't up yet, maybe you can swing a deal. Maybe send Lamar for Jackson Dart. I don't necessarily hate that. Lamar could come on for sure, but he's still kind of injured. He popped up on the injury report this week. So, let's talk about Lamar right now. In fact, Let's move our mugs over here so we can actually see which teams we're dealing with. All right. Lamar Jackson right here. He's got Pittsburgh, Cincy again, who we did not have the good game against, and of course, divisional matchups, so that always muddies the waters. Then you got New England. We talked about Dart struggles against New England, and Green Bay. So I think this schedule looked a lot better than it did, looked a lot better a few weeks ago. But now with Cincy slightly better on defense, with Pittsburgh slightly better. You mentioned New England. What do you think about Lamar here and his prospects for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm looking on Sleeper right now, and it says Lamar is a low-end QB1. And I'm like, what world are we in? This is like a bizarro universe right now, right? With what's going on. I know that's the thing. Like, it's really hard to rank him because he's just not doing what he normally does. He's not really giving you the rushing bonus. He's still rushing, but the yards are just not there. Like, his yards per carry has not been above 5 in the last month plus. So it's just, he's still getting a decent amount of rushing. It's just getting nothing out of it, right? And then there's some turnovers in there too, just not a lot of touchdowns. He's been a really good passer outside of this last month. So when he came back that first game against Miami, he had 4 passing touchdowns, right? Which is kind of what he had done earlier in the year, where he was giving you a ton of passing touchdowns and efficiency. It's just gone out the window recently. So I'm not sure necessarily what the whole problem with is this offense, but yeah, Lamar just looks off. So I will say in Dynasty, if you can buy Lamar, you absolutely should, because this is one of the windows to buy him. But yeah, in redraft, it's a little bit more interesting. So if you want to go with, like, talk about like Joe Burrow or Jackson Dart or any one of the guys that love him,
honestly, about this guy.
Yeah, we can talk about that guy too.
Yeah, Mr. Prescott, that guy's on my list.
He's throwing about 800 miles an hour and 50 passing attempts a game. So you know what you're getting out of Dak. I guess for where are you at with Lamar in redraft? Are you more going to buy him or are you more going to sell him?
No, I'll sell him in redraft. I'm happy to sell him. I'll sell him for this guy, Dak. I don't know if you can at this point. Dak has been so good because he has to be. But like you said, probably not Burrow. I think Dart is kind of the line here because he's on a bye, because, he had a down game. I think you could deal Lamar for Dart in redraft, and I wouldn't hate that move. Another one that's kind of sneaky, and I think you get a plus on top, is maybe Brock Purdy, because you look at his schedule. He's got the bye as well, but then Tennessee, Indy, Chicago. I think Brock Purdy has some sneaky good games at the end, especially if you think about these fronts, that Indy front, that Tennessee front. These are the strengths of those defenses. So when you talk about Christian McCaffrey, he won't necessarily get there simply in the running game. Christian McCaffrey is going to have to get there, and he will in the receiving game. So I think that obviously benefits Brock Purdy as well. Now, I'd want a plus on top of Purdy if I'm dealing Lamar in redraft, but if you can do that, I would go and do that.
It depends on, like, if you're gonna, we always talk about like moving these mobile, like these elite assets. If you can upgrade your lineup elsewhere, 100% get it. I think the most interesting, like, other mobile guy is Jaden Daniels coming back from that injury, because his schedule is freaking phenomenal down the stretch. So I think with Lamar and Daniels going down, I think Daniels has like the 3rd best fantasy schedule down the stretch. Yeah, it's 3rd best
right here.
So
if you're going to get Giants, that, Philly, Dallas.
It's pretty crazy. The Philly game is probably the tough matchup, and you only get it once. But like outside of that, you get Minnesota. Their defense has been abysmal. The Giants, we just saw freaking like what their defense is capable of. And I know Dallas seems like they're better, but still, like, they should be able to get cooked. So you have 2 of probably the best fantasy assets at quarterback dealing with injuries and are coming off. So it's kind of putting these quarterbacks that we think are super elite into shaky territory. So if you can buy either one of them, I don't mind it. I would prefer just to buy Daniels because it's been so bad with him. So you could probably get him easier than Lamar. So maybe take Lamar, get a plus with Daniels, and then just, start that guy. I think that's an interesting way to go about doing that.
Yeah.
Where are you kind of at with him?
Well, let's answer this question, and I can answer your question and this question together. But let's talk about this. You can see them both on the screen here. Dart at 9, Daniels at 20. So let's go by matchup. So obviously the bye week, you got Daniels this week. Jaden Daniels in week 15 has the New York Giants versus Jackson Dart against the worst defense in the league, it looks like at this point. So I'm going Dart week 15. Week 16, we got Minnesota and Philly. I'm going Dart week 16. Week 17, at this point, you made it to the playoffs with Jackson Dart, and he still gets Vegas. So I get it. You got Jaden Daniels at Dallas, but if I have to drop Jaden Daniels or, in a redraft league to roll with Jackson Dart, I hear that. Trone, I don't think you're playing matchups here, but you need Jaden Daniels this week. So maybe that's what it is. You get Daniels this week, you roll with Dart the next 2 weeks, and then Daniels for or you can just kind of pick your poison there at the end. Yeah, I think I would play matchups if you have these two guys. What are you thinking about these two, Jesse?
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. I think if you have the roster spots capable of doing that, where if it's like your 15th roster spot and you want to pivot between Dart and Daniels, that makes a ton of sense. Because like you're not that Philly matchup with Daniels is scary no matter which way you slice it, right? Because their defense has been so good. Mm-hmm. So I'm usually against keeping two quarterbacks, but in the playoffs, I'm all about keeping these elite players away from the other teams as well, too.
Yeah, fair.
You might go out and grab them and play them against you. Nothing worse than you drop the guy and he beats you in the playoffs based on that. So I don't mind playing people away. So it's just if your roster can support it, I'm fine doing that. I'm fine playing matchups with these two because they're both going to be consensus top 12 guys, like pretty much every week, right? So yeah, I'd be okay with that.
And to answer your question earlier, Jesse, Terry McLaurin has looked phenomenal and phenomenally healthy. I mean, Jaden Daniels we know he's better than Marcus Mariota. He's proven that even this season, as good as Mariota has looked. So if Jaden Daniels is healthy, Terry McLaurin is healthy, when he's out there, he's going to light it up. So yeah, I would play the matchups and agree with you on that point about keeping him away from your teammates. KT Owen, give us a minute. We'll go to tight ends next. I just want to wrap up quarterbacks here, but then we will get to your question. 2 minutes. Right below here, we got a couple of good, interesting guys here. Jesse, tell me what you think about these two. We got Jacoby Brissett and Jordan Love, both playing out of their minds lately. Mm-hmm. You see the schedule that Love had, but now he's got Chicago, Denver, not great, but Chicago again, Baltimore. I mean, it's so juicy for him. Jaden Reed potentially back this week, if not very soon. And then you got Jacoby Brissett, a lesser schedule than you like to see from him, but he's been lighting it up at QB1 every single time he's taken the field this season as a starter, which has been 7 times. Who do you like out of these two? And, who are you happy to kind of put your money on for the fantasy playoffs?
I honestly don't mind Brissett because of how pass heavy that offense is with him currently. They're absolutely slugging the rock at an absurd rate.
Crazy.
They do have some tough matchups. Like the Rams defense is really good and Houston's defense is really good. So these two upcoming matchups are tough. So you're going to feel safer with Love. The problem that always worries about Green Bay's offense is they are so run-centric in how they view this, right, and how they go about doing this. Similar to kind of like what Seattle does, just not to that degree. They just don't have the explosive ability that Seattle somehow does with just one player in JSN. I don't know how Seattle does it. It's kind of crazy. It's the only guy. But, yeah, with Green Bay, you kind of hope with Love that he stays healthy. That's my main concern is his like other arm, is his shoulder is what kind of limits him in that offense. So I get it why they would want to just continue to pound the rock. So I think Love these next couple of weeks. But, yeah, you feel safer about Brissett just based on the amount of pass attempts he's going to give you. Because he's probably going to give you not quite 10 more a game, but upwards in that range just because Brissett and that team are probably going to be struggling. They're going to be trailing, and this is what they do throughout, right? So, yeah, it's tough. I say I'll slightly go to Love, but
same.
I really just want to keep pulling out Brissett because it's really hard to fade him at this point because he's just been doing it for a month straight. It's crazy.
I agree with you, except 2 things. Number one, MHJ still out this week. Dortch also out. So limited. Michael Wilson's going to have to do what Michael Wilson does, which is certainly possible. But also Evan Brown, starting left guard as of like 30 minutes ago. He's added to the injury report as a personal. He's questionable for the game. That's a huge blow. And hopefully that's not something that maintains for a couple of weeks. For example, if that's like a mental health thing, that's a whole nother stratosphere of problems, obviously for the player, but also for the team in terms of like kind of coming back. So we don't know what's going on with him. He might not play this week, but that's a huge blow for this offense this week and potentially going forward. So something to monitor, at least in Arizona. Last thing, just a couple of names I want to throw here, but I don't want to talk about them too much. Playoff schedules. Jared Goff. Obviously, he needs ARSB to be healthy. It doesn't really matter, apparently, if he's healthy or not. He's just going to go out and score a bazillion fantasy and reality points for you. But they're cooking. And then further down this list, I got a couple of names here for you. Tyler Shuck. What the hell, Tyler Shuck over here? Look at that playoff schedule. Super juicy. Nice. You know who else has a better playoff schedule, Jesse? JJ McCarthy. I mean, damn, I know I don't want to bet on McCarthy, but I'll tell you what, if it's ever going to happen, it's going to happen this week. We'll need to see a little bit of growth here, JJ. I still believe that the player can can do something. Am I putting more of my money where my mouth is? No. But do I think that the player has the ability to do a little something? Yes, I do. So we'll see what happens there. And then the other one, worse than JJ McCarthy, to be fair, Tua Tagovailoa. Look at his schedule: Jets, Pitt, Cincy, Tampa. I mean, damn. I went out and bought Waddle a few weeks ago. That proved to be a mistake, simply because of that schedule. Do you like any of these guys here?
Yeah, I mean, you could talk yourself into the theory of JJ McCarthy. I don't know how you're going to be able to do it because they've had the sixth best schedule up to this point in the season, and that passing attack has been abysmal. Carson Wentz with like a broken shoulder practically was supporting these guys, and he was still doing it. And then they go to JJ McCarthy, and they don't even talk about Max Brosmer. That might have been the single worst performance quarterback we've seen.
Oh my god,
it was brutal. Yeah, so. The theory is there. I'm 100% with you. The process. If you have the stones to do it, this could actually pay off significantly, right? But the problem is he's been so bad in basically across the board, even in good matchups. Well, he's had like one good game this year. But like even in the good matchups, he's severely letting you down. So I don't know. I don't think I could pull the trigger on him. I would rather start Tyler Show, to tell you the truth. Like he's at least showing us something. I know Carolina's a little bit tough just based on their pace of play and how run heavy they are offensively, but you could get there with him. So I don't mind going in like the Show if you're going this discount version.
Agree.
I don't want to do Cousins. I don't want to do Ward. No. I don't want to do any of these guys down here. I think like Show, if Mariota's playing, Mariota's a different discussion because he's going to give you something, right? But Show's like the cutoff line of guys I'm probably willing to at least entertain starting, and that's practically super flex leagues. Even in 1 QB leagues, I think somebody in that line is probably going to be available to start because you could talk yourself into Tyrod maybe, but like that Jets offense is rough. It's just rough, man.
Agree with you there. But that's enough QB talk. Let's talk a little bit about tight ends because we have a tight end question. So let me jump to tight ends. Let's scroll over to the appropriate times here. One thing you'll notice about tight ends, they all have great schedules the rest of the way, all of them. So it's kind of like, when everyone has a great schedule, no one does because they're not really standing out. But these guys definitely stand out. Dalton Kincaid, apparently back this week. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition and he gets on the field. That's at least the hope. You got Brenton Strange, who came back a few weeks ago and has been nothing short of tight end 5 back-to-back weeks. So you love to see that. And then Mark Andrews. We had a Mark Andrews sighting last week. Well, guess what? His schedule is one of the best for tight ends amongst a bunch of people. So let's start Mark Andrews first. He's got Pittsburgh, Cincy, New England, and Green Bay. He just had a good game against Cincy. What do you think about Mark Andrews here rest of season compared to some of these other names?
I think he falls in that mid to high end tight end 2 range just because he doesn't get enough usage,
Yep.
So that's kind of the problem. Even like the juicy matchup against Cincinnati, and by the way, we'll talk about Cincinnati shortly. Just play the tight end against Cincinnati.
100%.
Yeah, if like, well, I'll talk about a crazy stat with him in a second. But Andrews, his floor is pretty low. I think you can get by with him in this scenario. But the problem with Andrews is you're going to have a lot of guys similar ranked to him each week. So you're going to be doing this thought process each and every week where you're not going to be 100% confident starting him even in good matchups. So if you're on the waiver wire and tight end just a wasteland, sure, I don't mind going Andrews. But I think we could probably do a little bit better. Like if we had Kincaid, I would just prefer Kincaid, particularly because he's playing Cincinnati this week. So you're going to get that boom performance. He's just like a more explosive Mark Andrews because he's still in a limited snap share. He does basically the same type of stuff. He just gives you a little bit more explosive playability. So I don't mind him either. Of these 3 guys, is Strange your favorite or is it Kincaid or Andrews?
I love all of these guys this week, especially. I have Strange 1 spot. I have Andrews at 6. I have Strange at 4 this week. And with Dalton Kincaid and the uncertainty, I have him at 10. But if Dalton Kincaid plays, he's probably got to be above Brenton Strange and be up at 3 this week. I mean, like you said, let's put a bow on what you were just talking about. Let me share this tab instead. This, of course, is the all helpful statistic. I reference this often. This is Fantasy Pros running fantasy points allowed page here. And you just see Cincinnati Bengals at the top because I've ranked them by tight end points allowed. Look at the gulf between the tight end points that Cincinnati allows and the rest of the league. The thing is that Cincinnati look at the rankings on the outside. They're like the 6th worst worst matchup against wide receivers. We saw this most recently with Steph Diggs. We've seen it with DK Metcalf this season. We've seen it with Michael Pittman. There were a few others that I can't think of, but DJ Turner has been damn near elite this season. On the other side of the football, it's Dax Hill, who's been playing really well. They're covering the outside, but you know what the problem is with Cincinnati's defense? They can't do anything else. They can't rush the passer. They certainly can't cover with those linebackers, but those linebackers can't even stop the run. They took their one good linebacker. They benched him earlier in the season, and then they were like, "Oh, we'll just ship you to Dallas." Oh, look, you're decent again. That's shocking. So no, they can't cover. Obviously, they can't cover a tight end. I mean, this is kind of where these metrics are really helpful because that 6-point gulf of like tight end points allowed is absolutely ridiculous. So like you said, you must start your tight ends against the Cincinnati Bengals. So for KTO, and that's a good, long-winded way of saying go Dalton Kincaid if he's healthy. Because you pretty much have to at this point. If he's playing, he's going to be a stud this week.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Cincinnati's defense. We talk about it. Look at his running backs. They're awful against running backs too. So it's just teams just pound them in the middle of the field, and they can't do shit about it. Like they're just abysmal against it, right? The outside and teams that have literally like forced their game plans and seen the weakness they have. They're like, why go outside when we just have these advantages across the board up the middle? So running backs terrorize them, tight ends terrorize them. They're giving up like 10 targets a game to tight ends. It's absurd what's happening. You're getting 7 receptions, 93 yards. If you produce that for the end of the year, you would be the tight end one by a landslide over Trey McBride. Like it would not even be close. So yeah, just fire. Like if you want to do this each every week, you have Kincaid and Andrews back to back in Cincinnati. That's who you're playing those 2 weeks. Just fire those guys up. Don't worry about it. And then, you can kind of play it off in the playoffs. But, it's just they are the dream matchup. It's crazy. Like, this is just – I remember, like, we used to have this with the Seahawks years ago about tight ends. So they were really bad. Or start them against them. Cincinnati is the new Seattle where it comes to that, where you're just like, I don't care who you are. If you have a pulse and you're playing against the Bengals, you get a massive boost. It's like triple XP type stuff when you're playing a game and you get it. That's the Bengals. So, I am excited to play. And you're showing it right here. Yeah, exactly why.
Yeah, this is why, right? Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter, rookies out there doing their best, but these guys can't cover crap, let alone know what the heck's going on in the defensive scheme. I don't know if a defensive coordinator knows what's going on in the defensive scheme, but also Geno Stone, the only safety to be let go in Baltimore. They were like, we love safeties here. All of our safeties are fantastic, except for this guy. He doesn't. You know what? Let's let him go to our division rival. That's how much they don't care about Geno Stone at this point. Yeah, Jordan Battle. I mean, they're just not cover guys. So that's really the issue that they're facing here. Jalen Davis, I do not know who that is, but apparently he's their starting nickel. If this is accurate, it's just a huge mess. You can see here why this team has struggled so hard, especially when you got a guy like Joseph Asai, who's been better this season and has filled in decently for Trey Hendrickson. But like, what the hell are we doing here? I mean, Joe Burrow, if they make the playoffs, it will be on the backs of 50-point games from the offense. So we'll see.
Yeah. Cincinnati's perfect. They're the ideal like fantasy, basically like stew combination you put together to play. If you're playing against them, you start them, and you go start the Bengals players because the Bengals players have to go nuclear, right? So it's just a win-win across the board. So that's why, except wide receivers, but like Cincinnati's great. So I guess outside of the Cincinnati dream scenario, who else are we targeting at tight end? Because a lot of these guys are ranked pretty high, but once we get to like Gadsden and even Ferguson a little bit, I don't know if Lamb's going to be back moving forward, right? Pitts it's just that offense is abysmal, and Pitts has walked into a really good role, and it's just done nothing the last month. Like he's just been killing you because people are starting him, and they're just putting up just 4 points, 3 points, 2 points. You're like, I can't do this with him. So of the tight ends, who else stands out to you guys? You're actually willing to start outside of the top 5. Like once we get past Kelsey, it's kind of I think the question marks start with these guys.
So let's talk about Pitts real quick because he's got great schedule down the stretch. You can see it here. He also, Jesse, broke out last week. The tight end 6, 11.7 half PPR fantasy points, but 7 for 82. You love to see that in a tight end.
Yes.
But, of course, you need the tight end to score. That's what we need. Kyle Pitts just 1 score on the season. And with Kirk Cousins, we're very concerned about this. and no Drake London. I mean, this offense basically running through the run game as it should be to try and win games, but this team is going nowhere, which is another issue. Seattle, Tampa, Arizona, the Rams. You don't love that Week 17 matchup, but the Rams do give it up enough to tight end compared to every other position. I don't mind Kyle Pitts, but the guy you mentioned, Jake Ferguson, I think is the guy we should highlight. Detroit, Minnesota, the Chargers, and Washington, Week 17. Dallas is another team we know who's going to need to sling it. CeeDee Lamb there, CeeDee Lamb not there. Either way, I think Ferguson can get there on volume, or he can get there on just being freaking wide open every single play. And so Dak decides to throw it to him if Lamb's in the lineup. It's a great run out for him. I don't mind plugging him in. I have a team with Kelsey and Ferguson. I played Kelsey last week. I think that was the wrong decision. Didn't burn me, but Ferguson had a great game. So, yeah, man, I don't mind these three guys. I got three other names, but what do you think about, you mentioned Pitts. What do you think about Kelsey and Ferguson going forward?
I think with Ferguson and Pitts, it's kind of the same scenario. If like London's going to stay out, Pitts gets a little boost. So that's kind of like what happened last week, right? Because he's really all they have. Darnell Mooney's just not what they want him to be for whatever reason. It's not working this year. So they went back to Kyle Pitts last week and it worked. I think with Ferguson, if we're missing Lamb, you saw that already earlier in the season when they were missing Lamb, how beneficial that was to him because he became the second option. He was getting double-digit targets like every week in that scenario. So I think if we're missing Lamb, you could just fire Jake Ferguson up immediately. You know what you're getting.
Agree.
Pitts, it's a little bit more risky because he hasn't done it consistently. So I would say I trust Ferguson a lot more. And then Kelsey's role is good. It's just it's kind of tough sometimes with Kelsey, but like he's still really good. You look at like what he's done the past like month plus, it's been fine. Like he had one game under 6 targets the last month outside of the Vegas game. So it's been 8-5, 13-6-6. The game against Denver threw us off because Denver's defense is so good. But he just went nuclear, had a touchdown on that. So I think Kelsey's fine. He's still tight end 3 on the year. I mean, it's really hard to bench Kelsey moving forward, right? Because tight end's so bad. But it's not, they're not great matchups. Like I don't like these matchups for Kelsey at all. So it kind of brings him down a little bit more. So I think if it's injury for Lamb is for a while, then Ferguson's top guy. But yeah, you can kind of mix and match with like Kelsey, Ferguson, and Pitts, I guess you could say.
Yep. I don't mind that at all. Hamza, stick with us. We'll go to your question right after we finish up with tight ends. But you see all of the other guys here that are listed. Really, the only ones I don't love are Dallas Goedert, Hunter Henry. Like these matchups are good, they're fine, but there's better ones. Because if you look at George Kittle, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, those guys are going to go nuclear. But here's a few names that I love. We already talked about Brenton Strange. Let's get him on the page here. Brenton Strange, Indy, Jets, Denver, Indy again. I really like his matchup here down the stretch. I think that the one thing that I like to see is not only that the matchup against the defense is good, but that the offense is going to be able to kind of hang with them. I think in Indy, you have that situation. I think in Denver, you have that situation. Maybe not necessarily with the Jets, but Tyrod's been fine. So I like him. I really like Harold Fannin right here. Tennessee, Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and it runs through him, this offense. So I don't mind him at all. Look at Darren Waller's schedule, Jesse.
Dude, it's so good.
Jets, Pittsburgh, Cincy, Tampa. I mean, he is the number one on my list in terms of amazing schedule runouts. But you also got Juwan Johnson down here, Tampa, Carolina, Jets, and Tennessee as well. So, you know, Fannin, Waller, Juwan Johnson. Who do you like there as we wrap up tight end?
I mean, it's really hard to fade Waller. It's just the injury concern with him. And like we talked about this, like his first week back, his role is somewhat reduced. Still only 47% of snaps. Like that's going to gradually increase. He will do more this upcoming game. So Waller's if Waller plays, which he's going to play this week, right? I think he is a definitely top 12 option moving forward because you saw the thing he does specifically is he's such a big target. He gives them that end zone boost because they're severely lacking. Sure. Like they have Waddle. They don't really have anybody else like they can do in the end zone. Achan's also another small guy. So Waller stands out. He's like the tree among the munchkins. Like you see Waller, like that dude's a giant. Get him the rock. So yeah, I like Waller a lot in these matchups. I'm going to be firing him up. I had him on a team in my home league, and then he got injured, and I was like, damn it. So of course I ended up trading for Kittle, and then Waller comes back, and I'm like, well, now I got 2 guys. Cool. All right, so here we go. Yeah, I think Waller's matchup, and you see that week 16 matchup against Cincinnati is so just incredible. Yeah, you can fire. I think you can fire Waller up each and every week. I'm fine with that because his role is likely the best of this. And Fannin just doesn't get enough routes. He's close,
That's fair.
But like he's doing it on an efficiency basis similar to Kincaid, right? Like where they're not running the snap share we want. So he's just a little bit below. But yeah, you can kind of pick and choose these guys based on matchup. I think you can get some buy if they are available, which is probably unlikely at this point.
Yep, true. But like you mentioned, that Cincy matchup, you also don't mind seeing Pittsburgh in there because they don't know what the hell they're doing back in the defensive backfield. They're trying to figure it out. They don't know. And then the New York Jets, yeah, you can throw on the Jets as well. So Juwan Johnson, those are some names, Brenton Strange. So to answer your question, 4K, we like all these guys, but if Kincaid is playing this week and seems healthy, it's him. Let's say Kincaid is out, Jesse. I'm going Strange over Mark Andrews this week. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I like Strange's role a little bit more than Mark Andrews because he just disappears at times. Yeah. And we saw Strange do good earlier in the year. He went out, and then we tried to do the Hunter Long thing where Hunter Long accepting the role. Clearly, he's not Strange. I think people forget Strange was a round 2 pick in the NFL draft.
Yep.
That kind of went under the radar. So they clearly liked his long-term prospects.
He's athletic as well.
He's athletic. This is year 3 where he's kind of stepping into his role even more. So, yeah, I think Strange is the guy that you could talk yourself into next year being one of the tight ends we're feeling a lot better about. Obviously, that's a long way to go because they're missing Hunter. The offense has been in shambles, right? But, like, BTJ's back. They have Jacoby Myers, and Strange is still doing it alongside them. So that shows you how good he is. I like Strange. I think he's a good player.
Yep, I love that call as well. Hamza, thanks for sticking in with us. We got your question here on deck. And then we see your question, Shay Ambrose, all the way from Wyoming. So give us a few minutes and we'll get to yours as well. But Hendo or Ladd as a flex for this fantasy playoff. So we see Ladd down here. He's number 11. In fact, I can scroll up a little bit. I just wanted to keep the week 14. So we're starting here. Philly this week. We don't love that, but not the playoffs. We got KC, Dallas, and Houston for Ladd. We love that Dallas matchup in the middle, but sandwiched in between two good defenses. I think Ladd probably works out in terms of kind of his role and how the Chargers are going to have to attack this defense, especially with Amari and Hampton back. It should open him up a little. But Jesse, that is up against the beautiful schedule that belongs to the New England Patriots. Here's what Travion has. Of course, he's got the bye this week, but in the fantasy playoffs, it's Buffalo. You can run all over them. It's Baltimore. You can pretty much run all over them, although Roquan's a problem. And it's the New York Jets. I love Travion's schedule. Ladd McConkey's schedule, not as good, but as we know, he's a stud. Who do you want to roll with as a flex rest of season?
I'm going to go with Trayvon Henderson. They like doing to your point, New England has the best remaining schedule of all NFL teams for running back for fantasy points. So yeah, you're just going to trust the process with him. What the thing with Ladd, I really like the floor case for him. It's a lot harder to make the ceiling case for him, just based on like the target share and all the things and all the pieces they have in that offense. You see it each week, somebody else pops off. Like here comes Quentin Johnston. Then there's a Ladd. Oh, then there's a random wild Keenan Allen that shows up who hasn't been there for 8 weeks. So I think Travion, we know he's going to get at least double-digit touches every week. It was a little bit of a letdown last time they played last week. You expected a big role, but still, he gave you double-digit points, and that's totally fine, right? So I think the upside scenario is a little bit better with Henderson than it is Ladd. So I'm not in playoffs like you're trying to like win the championship. Each and every week, you lose or you go home. So for me, I'm going to go Travion Henderson over Ladd McConkey, but I like Ladd McConkey a lot.
Yep. You see this super juicy schedule. The bye this week, of course, Buffalo, Baltimore, the New York Jets. Too bad he doesn't get Miami, but that's, of course, week 18. But you contrast this with exactly what you just said about Ladd McConkey. Who'd have thunk it, Jesse, over the last 4 games, 6, 6, 4, and 6 targets for Ladd McConkey. Just a wide receiver 1 once. Just a wide receiver 2 twice. The other 2 weeks, wide receiver 41 and wide receiver 70 on the week. Justin Herbert with a broken hand. This offensive line, terrible. Amari and Hampton back. They're going to run it a ton more. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. I think it's close because I do think Ramondre eats in more so than he did last week, especially in short down and distance and goal line scenarios. That's what concerns me about Henderson. But I'm going to stay in the flames with Hendo as well, and I'm going to roll with you. Ladd just feels hard to trust at this point, which is awful to say. But in those same previous 4 games for Travion Henderson, RB4, 321, and 30. It's just the touchdowns have to come. If he scores a touchdown, you're incredibly happy with
Yes.
TreVeyon Henderson. At this stage, if Ladd scores a touchdown, you hope he's a wide receiver 1. In that 4-game span, he scored twice, but he was a wide receiver 20 one of those games. So, yeah, tough one. I will roll with Hendo as well. Shay Ambrose, what is up? Love the Garth Algar.
That is fantastic.
Love the Wyoming. Who do I pick up to stream over Justin Herbert this week? Herbert might play. I don't want to play him, but he might play.
Yeah.
I don't think the Chargers should play him, but he might play. You can pick up Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, or Sam Darnold. I'm going to consult my rankings. Jesse, who are you thinking this week at quarterback?
I mean, the thought process with Bo Nix, like Bo Nix is the most boring top 12 quarterback like I've seen in a long time. But it's fair. He's still quarterback 11 on the season.
Yeah.
I get it. They play Vegas. Vegas is not the best. Trevor Lawrence plays Indy this week. So it's kind of all over the place. And the third guy was what? Sam Darnold?
Yeah.
Sam Darnold's tough.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
tricky.
I kind of want to lean that way with that, but I'm going to go with Bo Nix just based on like the rushing 4 he gives you each and every week. That sells it a little bit to me. The rushing has gone down a little bit, kind of midway through the season. Like we've only been over 5 rushing attempts once, so he's not running as much, but it's still there. So I'll say Bo Nix slightly. How did these work out for you? Because I know it's pretty close in rankings between the 3 of you guys, honestly.
Well, yeah, between 3 of these 4 guys, it is. I got Sam Darnold at 15, Trevor at 16. I got Justin Herbert at 19. Keep in mind, not only is it a broken hand, terrible lineup, on the offensive line, but he's also playing Philly. So keep that in mind. So I don't want to deal with that. But I got Bo Nix at 10. It makes no sense. I don't want to do it. But here's the problem, Jesse, because I agree with you with my rankings. But Bo Nix played Vegas a few weeks ago.
I know.
The QB 25, just 1 passing touchdown, 2 interceptions, didn't run the ball, ran it for -2 yards. I mean, Vegas absolutely crushed him. And this is the problem, is that when you have these divisional games, it just becomes nothing makes sense. And so Bo Nix could go off for 4 touchdowns in this game. But that was at home in Denver, and they barely won that game. I think it was like 10-7 or something in that game. So it's tough. I'm still going Nix, especially because of the Herbert injury. But yeah, this sucks.
Yeah, if Herbert was healthy, I'd clearly he's tier above all these guys, so it would be Herbert. But yeah, I think you can make the case for Bo Nix. I still have nightmares trusting Trevor Lawrence, particularly in this scenario. He has been really good the last 2 weeks. Will that continue?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Indianapolis, and their defense is kind of all over the place. Their team's dealing with a lot of injuries. So yeah, it's Bo Nix by default. But if you want to stick with Herbert, I'm not gonna hate that decision just because he's been by far the best real life quarterback. He's still been pretty good. Like he's QB 8 on the season right now. So yeah. But I'll start Bo Nix and just not worry about the massive issues with Herbert and that offense on the injury stuff.
Yeah, and I've heard this about weather. Is there a hurricane coming through? What's happening in Jacksonville?
I mean, if there is, I wouldn't even touch that game. So if you're getting massive wind and precipitation, just fade the entire you can maybe do ETN
running
or
backs.
One of those guys. Yeah, you do the running backs. I don't want to trust that passing attack if it's really bad winds, because nothing is worse for a passing attack than heavy winds, particularly throwing into. I remember that Buffalo game against New England years ago, and New England won with like 3 pass attempts. Literally had 3 pass attempts in that game. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad, but pay attention to the weather. Like you'll know come Sunday morning like how bad the weather is. Just follow the sources with that. If you're getting notes of like 40+ mile-an-hour wind gusts, go ahead and just pivot somewhere else.
Agree. I will say this though. We were all worried about the weather in Cleveland last weekend. That disappeared. I know it's snow versus rain. That's a different situation. Right. But yeah, would it matter? Yeah, it's the wind matters. The wind is what matters. I'm not worried about rain, but I am worried about wind. So like Jesse said, I think the magic number is something like 30 plus. That's when you really got to get worried about the quarterbacks. Yeah, if we're looking at 40 plus, that's a problem.
Nightmare.
Yeah. All right. So we're here with the running backs. We'll talk a little bit more about some of these other guys. TreVeyon was the #1 guy on my list, so I'm glad we got to talk about him first. Jesse, Devin Neal's schedule. This is someone we have to talk about because we get questions about him all the time. Rightly so, right? He just came off a game in Miami, but he didn't score. So that's a big problem for him. But Tampa, Carolina, the New York Jets, Tennessee, this schedule is phenomenal. But is he going to score the touchdowns, or is it going to be Taysom Hill? Or are they going to just throw it? Or is it going to be Shuck running it himself? I'm just worried about Neal scoring touchdowns, and that's kind of my concern here.
Yeah, the Shuck running, like that's the issue that worries me more than Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's basically been a non-factor. Even though we talk about it, he only played 70% of snaps last week. Like he's clearly not a part of their offense. It took him 8 years to get there, but we finally gotten there. So of course, watch him have 15 rushing attempts in this game, and just Taysom Hill comes back to life. But I will say Devin Neal's interesting. He's a guy you could talk yourself into being a volume dependent RB2.
Yep.
The ceiling case does seem kind of high with him because this is just a bad offense. They don't score a lot of points. They don't get a lot of yards. And you have a quarterback who rushes on top of it. So you're getting hit from 3 ways on this one with Devin Neal. But if you're looking for a guy that's flexible RB2, I think he falls into that case because a lot of these guys in this range we're looking at right here, I trust him over Rodriguez, definitely Charbonnet, Gainwell in a part-time role. All these guys in this range right here, the only really one that I think I would take over him is Tracy, but it's also a lot of similar stuff with Tracy. Tracy's in that role.
Yeah.
He's I think he's a little bit better pass catcher. But Devin Neal, for those that don't remember, he's the all-time leading rusher at Kansas. He's shown he can support volume and do things. So I don't mind Neal in this matchup this week. You just have to be careful with this game against Tampa Bay because you don't want them to get blown out. And if they get blown out, then it becomes a lot more interesting. But as long as Alvin Kamara is out, he's going to see a decent amount of work. So he's seen 10
Kamara's
targets his last 2 weeks. So yeah, so I don't mind Devin Neal. He'll be in my rankings. He'll be that high-end RB3, low-end RB2. That's just it's just harder to push him above that, I think.
Yep, totally agree with you there. RB25 and RB40 in the last 2 weeks since Kamara's been sitting out, 74 and 82% of snaps. He's just not scoring, and that's a big problem. Shea Ambrose, yes, Bo leave this week. I hope that's the way to go. But we're Bo leaving with you. I have both Cortland Sutton and Troy Franklin ranked as wide receiver 2s this week. That won't bite me in the ass at all. Hamza, we gave you 5 good minutes, my man.
Go back in time.
But yeah,
Hendo.
It's Hendo. Yeah, it's Hendo. Ladd has been unreliable. Justin Herbert with the broken non-throwing hand just had surgery. He's pushing a play. Maybe he doesn't. And it's Trey Lance, Amari Hampton back. It's got to be Hendo. Yeah. A couple other running backs here on the list. Aaron Jones, right? He's got to be healthy. He's got to be playing. That's important. But, to be honest, I don't mind Jordan Mason if Aaron Jones is out. So I would say the Minnesota Vikings starting running back is the guy that I want. Let's find where Aaron Jones is. He's probably a little bit buried down here. Yeah. Do we see him? Where the hell is Aaron? I'm going to have to search him.
Yeah, you might have to. I will say, to your point, 100%, if Mason is basically the starting running back, Jones is out. We've seen how they use Mason. His role increases to the 60 to 70% range, which is good. He's even saw some pass attempts, which is kind of surprising. But he's just efficient and he's good. So I think if Jones is playing, these next 2 weeks are really good matchups for Washington.
Yes.
I know Dallas has gotten better, but you can still get Dallas. It's not like they have a top 10 defense, right? So yeah, I'm fine throwing them up there. I will say you just need them to stay in the game. Washington, that should not be a problem. The Dallas game, they could get absolutely blown out, and that is what worries me. That's the one, particularly about Mason, because he's not the pass
Matt Mason, yes.
Yeah, so I think Jones gives you that passing down work. He saw 4 targets last week. That's fine. So it's just, the floor is a little bit lower with this Vikings offense until they figure the quarterback out. So it's really hard to rank, particularly either of those guys as RB2. I think Jones squeaks in there, but yeah, it's just the offense is so bad. That's my main concern. But the matchups are juicy. So.
The usage has been so good for Jones when he's healthy. The problem is only 30% of snaps last week because he went out early with injury. The 3 weeks before that, 10, 11, 12, he's roughly hovering around 70% of snaps. He's getting you at least roughly 10 touches per game in the run game. He's getting 5 targets in the passing game on average. And if he scores a touchdown, he's a top 12 running back. So you love that about Aaron Jones, and the matchups are juicy. The question is, will he be healthy? And that's really the answer we need. We don't have that yet. He's currently questionable to play this week. If it's Jordan Mason, and I'm selfishly hoping it is for my Scott Fishbowl playoff run, because I got me some Jordan Mason. We'll see. But yeah, his schedule looks good. Amari and Hampton, real quick, are you buying this? Philly, Kansas City, Dallas, Houston, good Lord. I mean, talk about a guy who's played so well, who's everyone's hyped to come back, and his schedule is just brutal.
It's brutal. I mean, you can just look at what Kamani Vidal has done in his role. And he's been pretty dang good. I know it's kind of been every other matchup dependent thing with Kamani Vidal, but this gives you an idea of how valuable Hampton can be for that team. I just have no idea how much work he's going to get in week 1 back, particularly against just a terror of the defense of Philadelphia and then Kansas City. Dallas City gets better week 16, but yeah, these next 2 games are going to have to tamper expectations. So you could play him, and I don't mind taking the shot, just that he's just a really good running back, and we go that from him. But we have a small sample size early where he never fully took over the job, and he was still earning his way up to that. So I don't know. We still need to see it, and that's my concern. So yeah, I'll probably start him over the Woody Markses of the world because it just seems like Woody Marks is a volume, but just not that good. So it's just kind of there. But it's really questionable in this range with these guys as running backs. I think you want to get above them in the ETN, and Harvey's another one we could talk about. It's just kind of we want it to be there. It's just not there. So we're kind of overexposed on both of those guys. I think Hampton's just a much better player than those types. So I think he gives you the pathway, right? So I don't mind taking a shot on him if you're trying to put him in your RB2. I think I'm playing him in my redraft home league. I'm screw it, we got him. Let's just go with it and see what happens.
That's it. Yeah, but as of about an hour ago, Amarian Hampton is activated. So he is today was the deadline. He is activated. So you hope he suits up and plays. He's currently listed as questionable, but at least the report from whoever put it out, it was Rappaport probably, who said he's expected to play. We'll see with Amarian Hampton, but I agree with you. Temper your expectations. Finally, on these running backs, these schedules I love. You're not getting these guys at this point. Maybe you are. I've seen some trades for these guys in dynasty leagues recently. Number 1, Chase Brown. Look at this schedule. Chase Brown's been dominant the last 2 weeks, and now he gets Buffalo, Baltimore again, who he just absolutely annihilated, Miami, and Arizona. Chase Brown is going to absolutely crush. You know who else is going to crush? Bucky Irving, back from injury, crushed Arizona himself. New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami, a bunch of teams with nothing to play for. Bucky's going to run all over them on his way to another playoff bid for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you know what? As long as he can stay healthy down the stretch, where is he? Oh, he's higher than those guys. It's Josh Jacobs. He played Detroit last week, so we didn't love to see that. But guess what? It's Chicago. It's Denver. It's Chicago again. And Baltimore. Green Bay is going to need to run the football, and they're going to be playing a team who's running the football. So counteract the ball control offense against Chicago by ball controlling the offense yourself. I think both of these games here are going to be pretty high scoring considering what we're used to from these teams. And I think Josh Jacobs can have a good run down the stretch as well.
Yeah, I think with Samaje Perine, it kind of sucks for Chase Brown because he limits his role. The thing is, this offense runs so many plays, and because they ran 82 plays last week. So Insane. Chase Brown got 22 opportunities. Yeah. He did it on less than a 60% snap share. So the thing is, it's working both ways with them. I think their offense kind of raises them a little bit just because they run so many plays. Yep. But what you don't like to see him having less of a snap share than Bucky Irving's gonna have a bigger role. Josh Jacobs is gonna have a much bigger role. So you're gonna trust those guys a little bit more because the thing that will happen is if Cincinnati struggles in a game offensively, then you'll really see it show for Chase Brown. So that's my concern. But yeah, these schedule this is the perfect run out of teams to go against. So yeah, if you have Chase Brown, you're thrilled with him. This past month plus, he's just 100 plus yards every game overall and just doing his thing. Bucky, I was worried about him, but they were here. You go. Here's 17 touches in your first game back. I'm like, okay, whole staff will fly. Let's go, baby. Yeah, Bucky's awesome. I'm finally happy to see him. So if you've been waiting, much like Hampton, we just know how good Bucky is, and he's going to step into that on a good offense that needs him. And then Jacobs is just the guy that just perennially gets slept on. He gives you 20 opportunities in the game, scores a touchdown. He's the RB5 on you. That's just what Josh Jacobs does. So yeah, Josh Jacobs, it's really hard to even fade him, even in these bad matchups.
100%. Nothing to add. 10 out of 10, Jesse. Perfect score. Let's talk about some wide receivers to close it out because I got to get over to TikTok and talk a little bit about some of these guys over there. Let's see who I have on my list. All right. First of all, you see Jamar Chase up there, but Jamar Chase's teammate T. Higgins is back this week, and he's pretty good at football too. Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami, Arizona. If you don't want to trust Chase Brown, I think you trust all of these guys. But Jamar Chase, T. Higgins are on my list as the types of guys. I just went out and offered a first and Garrett Wilson for T. Higgins and Breece Hall. My dynasty league got flat denied. Interesting. It is what it is. But that's all good. I bought Jacoby Myers on the cheap instead. It worked out. But so we love these guys in Cincy, but we just already talked about these guys as well in Green Bay. We like Josh Jacobs, but you know who else has been balling, Jesse? Christian Watson, and he's got the same schedule as Josh Jacobs. We like that, especially against the Chicago secondary, although they got those 2 corners back a few weeks ago, shorted up a little bit. But Christian Watson has just been balling out of his mind. And then, Jesse, we have to talk about Justin Jefferson. Look at this schedule. We mentioned JJ McCarthy earlier in the show. He's got Washington. I mean, if nothing else, Justin Jefferson will be wide open 80% of the time. Can JJ McCarthy get it to Justin Jefferson? I don't know. But Justin Jefferson will be out there wide open. I really like these 3 wide receivers this week. And go.
Yeah, at this point, it's almost just impossible to trust Justin Jefferson, which is a crazy thing to say. I think in Dynasty Leagues, this is the time you can go out and buy. Even on contending teams, I think you could go buy Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
Like if you had Jamar Chase, you could probably get a first on top for Justin Jefferson. Yep. But you're giving up the massive point difference on the two.
Don't do that on Dynasty teams or redraft teams.
So I think you could probably actually buy into him with lesser players, to tell you the truth, like Chris Olave plus, Zay Flowers, whatever, like Devonta Smith. We'll talk about Philadelphia, how bad their offense is shortly with the issues on them. But yeah, these guys are great. Watson, the offense is going to shoot out because Chicago is going to force that game to go a little bit higher than it is. And we see Jordan Love, what he did against Detroit. So I'm okay with Christian Watson. I view him like a high-end RB3, or excuse me, wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2, depending on the matchup type in there. Dubs is dealing with an injury, so unfortunately my Dubs buy was not a good call because that injury is limiting him in what he's doing. So you win some, you lose some. I think it's just with T. Higgins, you know what you're getting. You're getting like a high-end wide receiver 2 with weekly wide receiver 1 performances, right? So
yes, sir.
You know what you're getting out of T. Higgins. He's going to walk into probably between 7 and 10 targets each week and good pathway for a touchdown. So yeah, that offense is good. So I think T. Higgins is the safest. Watson's the boom bust one. Jefferson, I don't know what to do with Jefferson. Play truth. He's falling each and every week. Like I don't know where the line is. It's too low. We have not found it yet. I'm about to put him at wide receiver 30 and just say, all right, Justin Jefferson, see if you can beat this because I don't know what else to do.
Jesse, it's Washington. This is the thing. Like I agree with you. I just don't know how I feel it's impossible for him to fail this week. I get it. He's failed every other week this season, pretty much. He's got 2 touchdowns on the year. Insane. But what the hell? It's Washington. Then it's Dallas. I mean, I get it. It's the fantasy playoffs. You don't want to fire him up. But he should do fine this week. Yeah. What does that mean? I don't know. But he should be fine for you this week. He should be fine next week. He's got Detroit in week 17. I mean, JJ McCarthy, this is the time. You got to show something, my guy, or you're just I think you're out the door. Also, quietly, Jesse, my boy, J-Mo, even with Amon-Ra gets there this week. Rams Pitt Mini, you don't love it for him, but maybe you do because they're going to be busy covering Amon-Ra. But we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about my other boy, Jesse, Stephon Diggs. Buffalo, Baltimore, the Jets. Look, Jesse, I did a little research on Steph Diggs. Why did he have the down game? What was his birthday? He turned 32 years old the Saturday before the Sunday game last week. Cardi B, his girlfriend, is partying. We know how Steph Diggs likes to party. He likes a little pink powder in a pouch, and he likes to walk around with it. Steph Diggs was not ready for that game last week. The week before, he had a down week, and he's facing DJ Turner, who has been the best cornerback in the league, and you can do anything and everything else. I'm giving Steph Diggs a pass. He's got a bye week, and he's got a great schedule. I think you could probably trust him down the stretch. What do you think?
I don't know if you can because it's
how
his usage sucks. Like his usage absolutely sucks. He plays almost 50% of the slot opportunities. Like when he's on the field, he's in the slot a lot. And the way they run that offense is they take their slot wide receiver off the field a lot. So this is why Diggs gets limited. He's not strictly outside inside. So I think Diggs is probably has higher variances of any wide left that we trust, right? The floor's low, the ceiling can be high. He can get you 20. You just don't know where it's going to go based on these matchups. What you need is some team to actually push New England and push them into a shootout. Teams haven't been able to do that all year. Like New England's got the best schedule and they got dream matchups down the stretch. So I don't know. Like, can one of these teams do it to them? We'll see. You think Buffalo should be like Buffalo should be able to do that, right? So I think you can trust him this week. With Baltimore, you should be able to. The Jets, I'm not. All right, I'll tell you right now, I'm not playing against the Jets. Like, I don't want to do that right there. But the other two, I think you can these next 2 weeks. It just sucks because if he was getting like 80% of snaps, he would be like a top 7 wide receiver because he's been so efficient how they use him. Because he's not, it's boom or bust. So yeah, if you're willing to live with it, I literally think he's the perfect best ball wide receiver right now. But yeah,
this is true. I would agree with you.
So I like him. Enough. I just know that the floor is just a little too low. But that's why he's, wide receiver 3 range.
Well, compare him to these two guys with amazing schedules. 29 and 31 on whatever these, I don't know what these numbers mean here. But you got DK with Baltimore, Miami, Detroit, and Cleveland. You got Juwan Jennings on the bye this week.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, am I missing a week here? Yeah, Tennessee, Indy, and Chicago. Juwan Jennings, DK Metcalf, Steph Diggs, rank them.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's certainly not going to be DK Metcalf because if you look, it's so brutal. His ADOT is abysmally low for a guy that is a vertical X wide receiver. Rodgers doesn't want to get hit back there. So I know he like magically healed within like a week after a broken wrist. So dude's a Wolverine, but he does not want to get hit. So he's like, here you go, Metcalf, here's a screen. And I'm like, dude, push him downfield. And they don't do it. So as much as I was talking about Steph Diggs, I trust him way more than I trust Metcalf because there's just no ceiling with Metcalf in this offense. So it sucks. I would definitely start Juwan Jennings over DK Metcalf at this point. Like, even though those matchups are so good, like, you look at what he's doing. He's not getting yards. The targets are kind of there, but he hasn't been over 50 yards since week 8. He has 4 games under 30 yards, and he has one 35-yard game there. So it's just
crazy.
It's so tough with Metcalf. It's just unfortunate. Like, they paid him the big money, and then they just paired him with a quarterback who might have been the worst pairing possible for what Metcalf does. So this is why George Pickens was like, thank God, get me out of here. And you're seeing how much better George Pickens is in Dallas right now, right? So, yeah, I don't know. If I was DK Metcalf, I'd be hating life. I'd be like, this is the worst. But, he's got $150 million or whatever. So he's probably doing okay. I think with Jennings, Jennings is just good. Like, Jennings is just a good wide receiver who's on the field. Like, he's on the field all the time for San Francisco. So that gives him the higher floor. He's a PPR kind of guy. He's not going to go down the field, but he's solid. You know what you're getting out of him. I trust him to get me 10 points like each and every week. Like, he's just good.
So Jennings, Diggs, DK, rest of season for you?
Yeah, DK is by far lower than these guys. I think you can kind of go between Diggs and Jennings matchup base, and then you'll kind of like pick him where you want him.
How about throwing all these guys in the trash and going Kayshon Boutte?
Oof. I will say not this week. This week, so
they're
slot wide receivers.
Okay,
sorry. So next week. Like slot wide receivers do really well in their matchups. Outside wide receivers get bodied, so be very careful if you're going with a Boutte. But yeah, I think Bootie's another one of those guys. Just know the matchup in the slot. Like, you can fire him up there. Like, he has a good chance for a touchdown. They have the freaking MVP on their team right now. Right?
MVP.
So we're back in this Patriots world where they have a god of a quarterback. I just don't get it. Let's give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody esse one time. Cleveland can use a quarterback, my friends.
It's tough. It's tough out here, my man. It's tough.
Yeah, it's nice. But he's good. Yeah, he's a solid X receiver, man. I like him. He's just like a wide receiver 4.
Listen, I'm going to TikTok. We appreciate all of you joining us here on YouTube. If you want to go to TikTok and ask some questions, just go here, click the link. We'll be live over there in a couple of minutes. The other thing to consider is if you enjoy this content, please follow us. Please like the content, follow, share, whatever. We are on Twitter. We are on TikTok. We're here on YouTube as well. We appreciate you joining us. We are the Fantasy Football Universe. This is Jesse. I am Jeremy. We are this guy and that guy. Of course, as always, we'll see you on TikTok in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Good luck making the playoffs this week.
If that's you.